Welcome to Straight Talk and Retirement. Your no-hype source for financial advice and making informed choices about your retirement plan. Get on the phone to talk today at 314-931-5877 or text your question to 84126.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Now, here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, hello, St. Louis, and welcome to Straight Talk on Retirement. You're live and local, St. Louis's favorite financial call-in show. I'm Jeff Lapidus, president of JBL Financial Services. Our offices are located in beautiful, a little chilly this morning, downtown Olivet, Missouri. I am a 40-plus year veteran of the financial services area, a fee-based financial planner and wealth manager. And I'm joined this week and every single week, except next week, with my very capable, able staff, my oldest prodigal daughter, Aaron Lapidus, who also is a fee-based financial planner and wealth manager, and Robert Markham, our life insurance and fixed annuity sales specialist, and soon to be having a new title in the family. Soon to be my son-in-law, very soon, about 3 days.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. We help our clients make smart choices about their money. The way we do that is by designing a game plan, a written step-by-step strategy, a real game plan that has several goals in mind.
First is to preserve, protect, and prudently grow the assets our clients have taken their entire lifetimes to accumulate. Second is to deliver a reliable stream of income, one that they can count on, so they do all the things they want to do during retirement.
And third is cost-effectively addressing their health care needs, like helping individuals enroll in Medicare and choosing the right plan to couple with their Medicare coverage.
And then when they're done enjoying their assets during their lifetime, we show them how to pass them on to the people they love, whether it's their spouses or children, grandchildren, churches, or charities, whoever it might be, with Uncle Sam or the tax courts taking a big bite out of their money. And as their wealth managers, Aaron and I, watch their money every single day, make sure they're staying on track. And that's why they call us the retirement coaches.
You know, I almost like when they're done enjoying their life, maybe we should change the title, the text.
You think so?
I thought it was a good little slip.
Okay.
They're done enjoying their life. Makes
Right.
sense to me.
Right.
I didn't say see ya. Or we'll miss ya.
Of course.
Exactly. But again, folks, we're live and local. We'd love to hear from you. We know you have a lot of things on your mind, and that's what's important to us. So give us a call today. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. And as a reminder, all of our clients are folks like you. They're our listeners. They're 55 and older. They would like to retire, or they're already retired. And as we mentioned, our goal is to create a game plan for them so they can have a fun and hopefully worry-free and financially successful retirement.
That's right, and there are many ways that you can stay in contact with us throughout the week. Log onto our website, jblfinancial.com. In the upper right-hand corner, you can click on the Contact Us button, request a coaching session, financial, Medicare, or both. Or if you have a question and it's easier for you to send a quick email through the website, please do that. We check during the show, so we'll get to your question. And if we miss it, we'll answer it by email. On the lower left-hand side of the screen, you can click on the pop-up box that appears. It says sign up for our monthly newsletter. We call that the Coach's Corner. We send it out electronically every single month. And we have a rapidly aging November newsletter.
Yeah, we're already 2 weeks into the November 2023 newsletter. Some great articles in there you certainly want to check out. And the first one being the uneven jobs recovery. And this article basically highlights the pre- and post-pandemic employment picture. And people don't realize we lost 22 million jobs over that 2-month recession of the pandemic, but we've regained all of those jobs now. But the nature of employment has changed, needless to say. Post-pandemic, there are a lot more remote workers than there ever have been before. So it's certainly an interesting article from that aspect. And our next one is controlling your medical costs by combining a high-deductible health care plan with a health savings account. It's a great article highlighting how you can help control those medical costs by marrying those two together. The third article is New Life for your old life insurance policy, whether it's paying final expenses, leaving an inheritance, covering large debts, or maybe even replacing an income. How do you find new life for that old insurance policy? Could it be even paying taxes for your beneficiaries and their IRAs? That's certainly a subject we've tackled before. And our last article is clean vehicle tax credits. The government offers a wide variety of tax credits for those buying EVs and hybrids. This article helps highlight some ways that you can qualify.
We call it the Coach's Corner. Easy access. Just go to our website, jblfinancial.com. Click on that Coach's Corner newsletter icon in the bottom left-hand corner, or as you're browsing through our site, it shows up on every page. You can always subscribe then. And again, Erin and her staff do keep the last 6 to 8 months of those archived for your viewing, printing, or downloading convenience. And if you come to the conclusion, you know what, it's time to visit with these rascals, just go to the upper right-hand corner, check on the Contact Us box, and send us a message. We'd be happy to answer any question you might have. And also, this is a great way for you to ask us to contact you to arrange for a free coaching session, whether it's for retirement planning, health care, or both.
That's right. And we already have our first caller on the line. Good morning, Jay.
Hey, good morning, all. How are you?
Great. Thank you. You have a question about an annuity.
Yeah, I've been approached by a person in that field, and they have presented a fixed index annuity, and it almost sounds too good to be true. It's an annuity that would pay me a monthly amount, and then, unless I misunderstand this fella, at the end of the annuity, I'd still have the same amount of money left over. So it seems like a no-lose situation. Of course, well, the thing that makes me nervous is having to pull, for me, a substantial amount of money out of accounts that I have, possibly mostly out of bond mutual funds and ETFs, maybe some out of the stock or equity side. But I know you have plenty of annuity guys on the radio station later in the afternoon. They don't ever like to use the word annuity, but anyway, it sounds like you guys have an annuity person now. It is with it. So that's where I am. Thanks.
Well, again, we do appreciate your call.
And we're not afraid to say annuity on the show.
Absolutely not.
No, we're not, because annuities are like other financial vehicles. They're tools, and you want to use them in the right way. So let me, if I may, go back and kind of react to what I've heard. It sounds like there was a recommendation that was made to you that you might convert certain securities that you have, securities, that is, investment securities, whether they were bonds, ETFs,
Mutual funds,
to an annuity contract. And that annuity contract would be set up in such a way so that, like all annuities, it has a settlement option or a withdrawal option where money can be pulled from that contract. Unless you have a desired and specific need to reduce the volatility in your portfolio by going from fixed income assets or equities to an annuity, this would not be a recommendation that I feel pretty confident that my daughter or I would make.
Well, also, I
would also want to find out whether, and the truth being, not being negative to whoever made this recommendation, but I would wonder whether or not this person is actually licensed to make that type of a recommendation.
Because they're recommending that you sell securities, which means they need to be securities licensed in order to make that part of the recommendation. Can talk about, many individuals who are not securities licensed can talk about annuity options that are not securities based, but to be able to talk about both sides of the transaction, where is the money coming from? If it's not cash, then they really should also have that securities license. But, Dad, I wanted to go back to, I think, the crux of Jay's question, which was how the contract actually works. He mentioned that he'd be able to take a certain amount of money from the contract, and at the end of the contract, he still would have the same amount of money left over. Okay, so I think that's a really important thing to point out. Where is Jay potentially, where is the miscommunication happening between Jay and the individual who recommended this product?
Well, I didn't get a chance to ask Jay, does Jay have an income need?
Right.
If he doesn't have an income need, then the annuity is going to probably be the wrong product for him. So unless there's an income need, like we have to work backwards from what are we trying to do. We can't put the product before the need.
That's a good point as well.
Yeah, that's really important.
I mean, that's the best point, but
and I would say what I think that Jay may have interpreted from the conversation is that the percentage of withdrawal that he would be making from the contract would be equal to the growth in the contract.
So how does I think he said it was a fixed indexed annuity.
And so the truth is that ain't going to happen.
Because the fixed index annuities do not have a guaranteed interest crediting strategy.
Well, they kind of do, but
You're not guaranteed to get it, rather.
Well, what happens is with a fixed indexed annuity, what we're talking about is the interest earned in the contract is directly linked to a market index, generally the S&P 500.
And a lot of them have options as to what you're linking to.
Yeah, some other ones. But what happens is that those options also have a cap. And so you're able to earn a certain amount of interest up to a cap amount, usually 3 to 4%. And what then happens is that if the index is negative for the year, you don't earn any interest. You don't earn any interest, but you also don't lose any interest or principal that was previously credited. The problem here, Jay, is that if you have a cap of 4%, as an example, and you're withdrawing 5%, then it's if you withdraw any more than the cap level, assuming you make the cap every year, which is not even a reasonable assumption to make, your principal is going to go down. So if that's the crux of the reason that you think you're purchasing it because it sounds like too good of a deal, it may be that there were two trains in the night and they passed each other. They passed each other and you didn't really get, and that would be something you would want to, again, maybe question about, have an illustration showing, etc.
Well, right. How much are you able to pull? What is that linked to? What happens if the contract doesn't perform as expected, meaning you have a year in which you don't earn the cap? But then I really think, to go back to Rob's point, which is a great one,
you need the income.
Right, because if you don't need the income, then you don't necessarily need to tie your money up into a contract that creates income for you.
Well, and let me add to that. Most of the time that we're using annuity contracts, we typically are using them inside of client IRA accounts. And the reason is that at some point in time, we do know that, we're hopeful that our clients make it to the age of 73 at this moment, require minimum distributions. And those contracts could then be used as a source of funds through withdrawal to meet a part of that required minimum distribution. So that could also obviously be turned into an income stream. So as I've said over the years, people in retirement fall into one of two camps. They're either cash flow now people.
Cash flow later.
And everybody's cash flow later because
everybody becomes cash flow later because there's going to be a moment in time, if you have retirement IRA, so traditional IRA accounts, that you're going to be forced to take income. You don't necessarily have to take it home with you, but you will have to remove the required amount from your IRA and pay taxes on it.
They demand that.
Yeah, so to go back to the initial feature here that I was talking about, which is a annuity contract, is a fixed annuity contract and investment? The answer is no, and it isn't considered by the SEC as a investment contract because it isn't sold by prospectus. It's an insurance contract. So
right, because you're not actually participating in the market.
Yes, and so what happens is this a replacement for investments? The answer is no, it's not.
Right, and it shouldn't even be compared to investments.
Absolutely.
When it sounds too good to be true, that's your first signal that maybe...
Got to dig a little deeper.
Right.
Or run away, whichever is safer. Again, our phone lines are open. We'd love to thank you, Jay, by the way. Great question to start today. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. Oh, we're waiting for some text this morning, right?
We are waiting for that text line to heat up.
And while we're waiting, let's talk about Sam.
Sam?
Sam I Am. You remember that one, babe, right?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. So Sam visited with us the other day. He's 63 years old. He's a single man of his own doing. And
of his own doing? What does that even mean? He's like Jack Nicklaus?
No, it's like it's basically he was a person that was never married.
Oh.
He was always single.
Right, like Jack.
He was unencumbered, right?
Okay.
And he planned to retire at the end of the year. He has about $1.3 million in 401k assets today, which is kind of nice. And he asked us, he felt like he was going to need to use some of those assets and or the income to supplement his Social Security benefits because he didn't have a pension plan. And let me give you a breakdown, if I may. Basically, what we're looking at is about $40,000 of the $1.34 million are employee after-tax contribution assets because he was in this plan for a long time. And the rest of the money was split between employee pre-tax contributions, his contributions, and obviously those then the balance made from the employer that they were made. Those were all pre-tax. This is pre-Roth 401k, and the earnings that happened from that.
And I just wanted to mention, because I had a pretty long conversation, I had the opportunity to speak at, I mentioned this last weekend, but I'll mention it again. I spoke to the Missouri Women in the Trades Association on Thursday night, and many of them are working for unions that they don't have to make contributions to, but there are some tradesmen that work for employers that have 401k options, and they were asking, what's the value of contributing to retirement accounts? And I just thought that Sam's breakdown is incredible, because my first comment to people is, if you aren't making 401k contributions, you're missing out on a piece of your compensation because your employer is willing to match to a certain amount. And in Sam's case, $770,000 were his contributions. That's contributions plus earnings. But $530,000 of his overall total came from employer contributions and their growth. So it's not quite 50%, but that's a significant amount of money over the course of Sam's career that he would have completely missed out on if he was just making contributions or saving money somewhere else.
And we know that because those contributions, again, were pre-tax, which means he didn't pick them as income. And the earnings on those on that money, as well as the contributions, was income tax deferred until he began to withdraw those at a time.
And he was getting that employer match, which is huge.
Absolutely. So, as you can imagine, Sam had a lot of questions, as most folks do. So let's go through some of these. We thought these would be interesting to share, and maybe some that are in your mind. So his first one was, what is the process of moving my 401k to a self-directed IRA without paying taxes?
Well, the first thing you'd have to do is set up a custodian-to-custodian transfer, and he would do that by opening up an self-directed IRA with a custodian to receive those funds.
And the great thing is both of the pre-tax contributions made by himself and the employer plus the growth are going to go into that IRA. They don't have to stay separate.
Now, the pre-tax and the after-tax contributions are going to be treated a little bit differently. The pre-tax contributions will have to be rolled over to a traditional IRA, whereas the after-tax contributions, he can either take them home or he can have those funds rolled into a Roth IRA.
And some people, and over the course of our conversations with individuals, when they reach this point when they're retiring, if they have after-tax money accumulated either in Roth or through after-tax contributions in their 401ks, we're always having the conversation, what does your current after-tax savings look like? Because this might be an opportunity to either create that bucket or fill it up for them. Or we also have many, many individuals that when they reach retirement, the honey-do list begins. And although it seems like you might be saving money when you have the honey-do list, in many cases those are more expenses. You know, we want to redo things, repaint things, things of that nature. If you have any upcoming expenses, then this might be an opportunity to grab at some assets that are not taxable to you right when you retire to either pay off expenses, create the savings account, or have some money for those upcoming projects.
Yeah.
What did you call it? The honeydew account?
It's called the honeydew list because especially when husbands retire first, their honeys, the ladies, they have a list of things that they want their husbands to accomplish, like painting, fixing, things like that.
I see.
Haven't heard of that one yet.
No, learning new things. Education of Rob Markham continues.
Well, and one thing we'd also want to mention here, from a technical point of view, is that those after-tax contributions, as they were invested, were again earning money because they were invested with the plan. And those pre-tax earnings on that interest then gets moved over to the pre-tax other part of the 401k, which then gets moved into an IRA. So it's not like you have to pay the interest on the after-tax
taxes
accounts.
On the interest.
Exactly. And since it wasn't really a Roth 401k, the interest would be taxable if it was withdrawn, which is good to know.
That is important. But the other great thing is if you are working with an advisor or you decide to engage us, we especially take the time to facilitate these rollovers. So when you are on your three-way phone call or we're assisting with the paperwork, we're going to get the specific numbers from your 401k company. What are the pre-tax contributions? What would the after-tax contributions be? How much is going to be directed into each account? And if you're calling on your own, this is information that they will also provide to you, so you can ensure that you're setting things up in the way that Rob mentioned. The pre-tax money is going into traditional accounts, and the after-tax money is either coming home with you or going into a Roth account, so you can maintain the proper taxation in retirement.
And you wouldn't be surprised that Sam, I asked, he said, Jeff, if you and Aaron are serving as my advisors, how do I get money from my account? It's a good question. And what happens is what we do is we set up an electronic funds transfer for you. For the monthly amount that, based on our game plan, we determine for you. What we'll do is we'll highly urge you and recommend you to permit us to withhold federal and or state taxes if applicable.
If you're in Missouri.
And you get your net check, and you get it once a month, twice a month, however you really prefer to do that. We don't care because there's no cost to do it. But we make sure that it comes in the way that you want to. And that's something that we always set up on the very front end, because that's a way of obviously helping to complete our game plan. And
also it helps you transition with ease into retirement. We're going to try to replicate for you what you're comfortable with. So, for example, if Sam had decided that he was going to elect his Social Security immediately, and he knows that he's going to get his check on the second week of the month, he may request that we send funds on the fourth week of the month so it can replicate his the way that he was paid while he was working. Social Security, you're able to withhold federal taxes from. You do have to submit a form after you've applied to Social Security in order to have those taxes withheld, which we can help assist with. And then if you allow us to withhold taxes from your distribution from your retirement account, most likely you won't have to worry about quarterly withholdings, and you'll be able to maintain the same process that you had while you were working. Instead of getting a W-2, you'll just get a 1099, one from Social Security and one from our broker-dealer that reflects how much Sam took out of his account and how much he already paid in taxes, so he doesn't have to worry about, like I said, quarterly withholdings or having a tax bill in April.
You know, it's interesting because this is really the point where I like to say the rubber meets the road. You know, we've created the game plan as an example. Let's just say that we knew that Sam needed to supplement his income. he need to receive $2,000 from his retirement assets. And let's take this even further. So we said Sam was 63. So Sam, if he is 63, guess what? He leaves his employer. Then what happens is he'll have COBRA for 18 months, but then he'll have to go and get individual health insurance to cover
for that if there is any gap.
But let's just say, for example, and we have a client we did this with last week, that our client was self-employed. So he already had his own health insurance. Based on his income, he maybe even be someone that might be eligible for a subsidy for his health care. So into creating his income, what we're going to be looking at is really creating, what's
the most tax efficient.
Exactly. Are we going to be using a combination of after-tax assets, Roth, maybe, as well as pre-tax assets, IRA, to create that income? And certainly we want to do it in such a way so that, as I like to say, we adjust the faucets. So if it can be eligible for a subsidy until he goes to Medicare, hey, that makes sense. Let's try to do that, structure his income in that way. And then obviously once he is subject to Medicare and eligible, what we can then do is readjust those faucets to create, I don't want to say necessarily a more short-term tax, but truthfully a more long-term tax-efficient income for him where he doesn't have those limitations under the plan. So that's kind of fun.
Before we take our first break of the hour, let's take Harvey, who's been holding on the line. You have a tax question?
Good morning, Harvey.
Yeah, good morning. Actually, I'm a little bit confused by your industry.
Join us.
You're not the only one.
Yeah, there we go. It seems to me like tax planning is a very important part of retirement planning, and yet when I've looked for financial advisors, it seems like they should be offering CPA services along with the financial planning because they're so integral, but yet no one seems to do that.
Well, I don't know if...
Well, there's a reason for that. First of all, there are conflicts of interest, okay? A CPA is between the two professions, number one. So I would like to suggest here, Harvey, is what we do is we try to take you to the edge of the diving board, but we don't push you into the pool.
Right. We are well-versed in tax implications on decisions, tax brackets, tax implications, but we don't prepare taxes.
And most CPAs also don't do the creating the desirable income stream for their clients.
Or the investing side.
Typically, many of them are advisors, but also more of them are record keepers. So your expectations are not unreasonable, but finding an advisor who will help you create that income flow that you need in a tax efficient way, answer those questions is something, if that's important for you to have. It's not going to be easy to find because not everybody has that skill set.
But I would also say that, like our firm, we have accountants that we have worked with in the past that we're comfortable with their work that we've used, that other clients have used, that we can recommend, and that also we work integrally with, so we can be part of your team together. And sometimes it makes sense to have a team. Everyone has a different specialty. I would say, just like you said, Dad, which is that we need to be well versed in the tax implications of our recommendations. But if we ever cross into something more complex that needs additional education and sophistication, then we're going to refer to other specialists like a CPA to assist us in giving you the best recommendation possible.
Yeah, and let me go back to this thing I originally brought up about conflict of interest.
Mm-hmm.
If you have someone that is a certified public accountant, a tax advisor for you, you want to have the most fair and impartial recommendations you're receiving. If in fact they're also receiving a part of their compensation
from your investments,
from products that you're recommending, that's a conflict. And so having those two functions separately probably makes a lot of sense. And the other side of this, let's be honest, most people do use TurboTax today. So
taxes in retirement are far less complicated than they may seem, or they may be projected as from other advisors, only in that, just like we talked about at the top of the hour, for most people, instead of getting a W-2, you're going to get a 1099, and you plug that in instead of the numbers from your W-2, and it's just with as much ease in retirement. In fact, I think we've argued in the past that taxes in retirement are better because we get to control them. It's not simply wages and earned income. We have options potentially based on your asset mix.
Yeah, and we do appreciate your call. And the last comment I'll make about this is it's difficult for consumers. The problem is that when you go to see a physician, you know that person has attended college, they've attended medical school,
and they have some sort of specialty, or they're a general practitioner.
Well, they've also received standardized testing to let them be doctors. They have the American Medical Association that's overseeing them in terms of best practices. In our industry, we have basic testing that's required for us to truthfully sell stuff. That's the way it works. You have to be licensed to sell securities or charge a fee to give investment advice. But it isn't uniform. And, again, many people come from many different backgrounds. And so finding someone that has a skill set that matches your needs is not easy to do. And, frankly, they change. When you're pre-retirement, you're really more interested, most likely, in being with somebody who is an accumulation specialist. When you get to the distribution stage, which is really where our focus is, you got to know a lot about taxes. You have to know a lot about estate planning. You also have to know a lot about insurance, because we're talking about different parts of the puzzle having to come together, not only dealing with our clients, if they have spouses, their spouses. How do we pass assets on to children or churches or charities or whomever they may love? How do we deal with health care, which is really changing from a corporate structure situation where you're not making decisions, to taking care of your own health care, designing a plan that meets your needs. And then at the same time, we got to deal with Uncle Sam. So as far as I'm concerned, my path has been try to be Mr. Know-It-All. Okay? Know about taxes.
Was born that way.
Well, thank you. I came by it honestly. To become a student of the trade for this particular time when maybe it's the biggest transition of property, wealth, maybe the most important decisions people have to make in their lives. And I just feel like this is fun. For me, it's a game because we have rules to follow. And the rules are the tax code. I love the tax code. Took a lot of accounting, and I just embrace it. And I just think it's just fun to do.
They give you the playbook.
And the big deal is that you need to have a skilled practitioner for someone that's going to help you. You don't go see a dentist when you got a heart problem.
Certainly not. Well, you know what? I think we should take our first break of the hour because we have a few text questions to get to. And hopefully more when we return.
Don't touch that dial. We'll be back with more Straight Talk on Retirement after these messages.
Save big on American-made furniture during the Miller Furniture and Mattress Grand Opening Celebration Sale going on now through November 30th.
I'm Mark Miller, owner of Miller Furniture. Our American dream began in 1927 in Belleville, Illinois, and now we've grown to 4 convenient locations. Celebrate and save during the grand opening of our new Fairview Heights showroom all month long.
Shop the largest selection of solid wood American-made furniture for huge savings on all in-stock items. Plus, Flex Steel, Smith Brothers, and Amish Furniture custom orders. Stop by early and save big with early bird exclusive offers now through November 12th.
Like $1,000 off the Flex Steel Sky Sectional in stock, or $1,000 off an Amish-made Live Edge table set. Plus, when you purchase a Chatham & Wells mattress, you'll get a free Haley mattress from Spring Air or a free adjustable base for the whole month of November.
Don't miss the grand opening celebration sale at Miller Furniture, your American-made furniture headquarters, now on both sides of the river.
I'm Jennifer Blome, and like a lot of you, I have anxiety about going to the dentist. I was so happy when I found Baldwin Dental Care. Dr. Kimberly Simons is the owner, and she and her staff understand what it's like to be a patient. There's a new patient special right now, a comprehensive exam, a cleaning, 4 x-rays, and an oral cancer screening for $99 or a $100 credit on your account. Baldwin Dental Care in the old Johnny Mac Sporting Goods store on Manchester Road. Just Google Baldwin Dental Care and tell them Jennifer and Wendy sent you.
So you say you crave choices. Have you seen the Cafe Appliance line? Commercial style ranges, unique food storage options, plus quiet, convenient cleanup.
With an abundance of features plus finishes like white or black matte and stainless steel. And now you can get 6 different beautiful hardware options. Just as your style evolves, your rooms do too. From changing out throw pillows to adding new art, your home is your canvas.
Satisfy your appliance cravings with the cafe line at any of the appliance discounter showrooms. Where, as always,
our savings are your savings.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Each and every month, KTRS honors a certain group. For the month of November, KTRS is honoring veterans, past, present, and future. And a proud sponsor is, of course, our friends at Outdoor Living. Pat Leahy and the gang at Outdoor Living have been doing this a long time. They'll build you a deck, a fence, a gazebo, and they'll do it right. Also, big supporters of St. Louis and big supporters of veterans. Happy Veterans Month from Outdoor Living and the Big 550 KTRS.
When you pay for tree work, you want to be sure you're getting the most for your hard-earned money. That's why you should always use the ISA-certified arborist at River City Tree Service in Baldwin, Missouri. Hi, I'm Steve with River City Tree Service, and we've been the go-to tree service since 2008. Tree removal, tree trimming, storm damage, deadwood removal, stump grinding, and more. Give River City Tree Service a call for all your tree service needs at 314-270-8071. That's 314-270-8071. River City Tree Service.
Do you like antiques?
Sure do, Sonny boy. I married one.
I mean antiques and collectibles like those you'd find at the Belleville Flea Market. It's the largest antique flea market in the St. Louis area, with over 600 vendors each day in the air-conditioned exposition center. And there are more collectibles and bargains outside. It's Saturday and Sunday, starting at 9 a.m. at the Belle Claire Fairgrounds in Belleville, Illinois, Route 13 and 159. For more info, call 618-233-0052 or bcfairgrounds.net. Make it an antique and collectible weekend at the Belleville Flea Market.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
9:42 here on the Big 550 KTRS. First hour's flying away, but we know we have another hour coming up as well.
And that's going to be filled with Medicare. So if you have questions about open enrollment, Medicare planning, Frank is going to be in the house at the top of the next hour.
But I know we've got the text line that's been filling up, which is awesome. Let's take those texts.
And our first texter writes, considering the recent rise in the stock market, which has been great, you had mentioned in the past that you set aside cash for people. Is now a good time to go ahead and put the cash on the sideline so it's there to distribute to clients? Great question.
It is a great question. I would say that we mechanically rebalance client accounts twice a year. It's coming up towards the end of December. So that's naturally going to happen for our clients. We'll be generating the cash that they'll use for the next 6 months of the year, starting, in December for January through the end of June.
Yeah, it's there's always a question. People are seeing a little sunlight when it comes to their portfolios.
Right.
Because really, September was okay, October was horrible. And
which it tends to be.
November was better. So is it time to take profits? The answer is maybe. We know that we do have to rebalance portfolios because that's the way that you do make profits real and set aside cash. And actually, what we've done is we're changing our philosophy a little bit about putting money aside for monthly income needs, and we can talk about that in another show. But always make sure that your emergency bucket, that vault, is all full.
That's right. And also, like you said, Dad, maybe if it's time for you to rebalance, you've seen, depending upon what your portfolio is invested in, you could have seen a dramatic increase in the value. You may say now is your time, or you may have set up already a mechanical time in which you normally do this. And I would say that stick to the rules is always the best way to see good results.
I know you get these comments all the time, but recently I've been getting Jeff, you look like you lost weight. You're looking younger, more svelte, etc. And, that usually happens when portfolios are rising. When it goes the other way.
Like you more.
Yeah. They like my Aaron story. It's okay.
I'm sorry, Aaron stories are evergreen. Mark it up, mark it down.
Thank you.
Classics.
Let's go to the next test.
And our next texter writes, would you please explain about the sport benefits with Aetna Gold, and can I buy a golf bag, and how do I get my money refunded?
This is fabulous. So
That's
this is
great.
called the fitness benefit. I'm just going to steal Frank's thunder. I don't care. I love this Aetna plan. That is not an endorsement of the plan if your physicians or prescriptions do not fit into the plan properly, but if they do, and you have the opportunity to utilize this Medicare Advantage plan through Aetna, the Gold Advantage HMO, oh my God, the benefits are just so fabulous this year, one of which the texter mentioned, calling it the sports benefit. In your booklet, it's called the fitness benefit. It's a reimbursement benefit. So what that means is you go out and buy your golf bag. You keep the
Callaway Org 14.
Right. You keep the receipt. I bought one for my dad. Was it last year for your birthday?
It was a Callaway Org 14 fabulous bag.
Okay. So, and that was only like $300 or something?
No.
It was more than that?
No, it was less than that.
Okay, good. Well, the fitness benefit is $1,200 a year, so you can absolutely afford a pretty. I hope it hits the drives for you if it costs $1,200.
They give you $1,200, and you can buy sports equipment, and you just have to submit your receipt.
You have to submit your receipt. You can do it throughout the year as you are incurring expenses, or you can save it all up till the end of the year. There's a form if you're working with Frank or you'd like to work with Frank. He can supply the form to you.
Do they give you an itemized list of things, or
No, it's just sports related. And because the benefit is new, test the waters.
That is
Send in your receipt.
Well, just imagine this.
So you can buy a treadmill for.
Correct.
Wow.
Listen, this guy's a golfer, so let's get real. You've got $1,200, which happens to be equal to 40 rounds of golf at $30 each.
That's even better.
And what happens is he goes out and plays, and at the end of the season, he sends those receipts in, gets a reimbursement of $1,200, and then he goes out and buys a new set of Callaway irons.
Even better.
Exactly.
So many options. Send in all of your receipts. The worst thing that they can do is say no and then just go buy something different.
These Advantage plans, getting out of control now. It's just out of control.
And, a client of ours who happened to stop by the office yesterday, and we've been working with him for several years. He's been retired for 4 or so, and now we're helping out his dad, who is 102.
Was he the one that reverse parked in our...
No, that's our actual client who's 103. But our new Medicare client, who is 102, just decided to elect a Medicare Advantage plan. It happened to be this one because the benefits were so great and his physicians and prescriptions fit. Everything was excellent. But my original point was he sent me a video from YouTube that was talking about the horrors of Medicare Advantage, and I was thinking that we were going to do a topic on that, but I don't like to talk about negativity. I only like to talk about the positive things. So I would say if you're someone that has heard some negative things about Medicare Advantage, open enrollment is not over until December 7th. It costs you nothing. There is no obligation for you to chat with a professional who is licensed to sell Medicare Advantage plans, just like Frank is in our office, and there are many others out there. I would highly recommend, if you are on a supplement right now or you're on another Medicare Advantage plan and maybe you're not thrilled with what you have, call a professional like Frank. Chat with him about your options for the upcoming year, because there are some... Aetna's not the only great plan out there. There are a lot of other options that are offering excellent benefits, and I would hate for someone to miss out on an opportunity like this because they were listening to people on YouTube that aren't necessarily qualified.
Yeah, there's no editor on YouTube.
Not yet, anyway.
Let's go forward.
And our next texter writes, what is your fee, and are you a fiduciary?
So we act in a fiduciary capacity for you because we're not the actual bank. So all individuals that are licensed to to charge fees, act in a fiduciary capacity. Our fee is 1% annually for the money that we manage. That's debited from your account at 0.25% per quarter based on the account value at the end of the previous quarter, which means
So when you make more dough, we make more dough.
Right. Our progress truly tracks together, or we like to say we're all in the same boat.
No, but compliance likes it when I say it's all about greed for you.
Yes, that's one of their favorite phrases.
They love that one when I use it,
Mm-hmm.
but it really is true. We're focused on making you money, preserve, protecting, and prudently growing those assets. You pay us to do that. And the nice part is that you also get everything else, which is all the financial planning.
All the errand stories.
Exactly, are included at no charge. And
Those are
again,
valuable.
what really is a fiduciary? Well, like your physician, like your attorney, like your accountant, there are people that have to provide you with recommendations that would be considered prudent in a court of law. And they're putting your interest in front of theirs. I mean, why do they have to have a rule?
Right. People that are offering advice should automatically follow that rule.
Absolutely. And that's something that we followed forever because it's always about you. It has to be.
That's right.
Because that's how we get the results, making sure that you're able to make smart choices about your money.
That's right.
Which is great. So, and we do want to take
We've
our...
got one more text question.
Okay. Then we'll take our next break.
That's right.
And our next texter writes, can you discuss qualified charitable distributions? I'm 70 years old and not yet taking RMDs.
Required minimum distributions. So, if you're not currently taking required minimum distributions, you still have the ability to send money directly from your IRA account to charity without creating a taxable event for yourself. So, if you're unable to itemize on your taxes any longer, this might be an opportunity for you to still be charitable without having to pay taxes on distributions in order to send money to charity. Qualified charitable distributions, though, are more applicable to individuals that are taking required minimum distributions because they actually can lower your tax obligation to the federal government because you have a certain amount that you're required to take at 73 right now.
You satisfy your required minimum distribution without having to pay fully on the taxes for those distributions if you're making qualified charitable distributions.
That's right. If you are supremely charitable and you donate your entire required minimum distribution, as long as it's less than $100,000 or 30% of your income for the year, then you wouldn't pay any taxes, but you would satisfy your required minimum distribution. If you're only going to take a portion of your required minimum distribution, whatever you send to charity counts towards the distribution, but you don't pay taxes on that piece.
And mechanically, you'd go right from the custodian to the charitable organization, never into your hands, then on to the charitable organization.
Exactly.
Very good. I guess let's take our second and last break of this hour, and when we come back, don't forget, we've got hour number 2 coming for Straight Talk on Retirement right after these messages.
Catholic Fraternal Life has been providing you with financially sound and secure products since 1884. And now they're excited to tell you about their new interest rates. Get a 3-year fixed annuity at a guaranteed interest rate of 5% on deposits of $5,000 to $49,000 and 5.25% on deposits of $50,000 and over. Live a richer life through financial stability and fraternalism with Catholic Fraternal Life. Call 800-240-2554 or visit cfllife.org.
Do you like antiques?
Sure do, Sonny boy. I'm married one.
I mean antiques and collectibles like those you'd find at the Belleville Flea Market. It's the largest antique flea market in the St. Louis area with over 600 vendors each day in the air-conditioned exposition center. And there are more collectibles and bargains outside. It's Saturday and Sunday, starting at 9 a.m. at the Belle Claire Fairgrounds in Belleville, Illinois, Route 13 and 159. For more info, call 618-233-0052 or bcfairgrounds.net. Make it an antique and collectible weekend at the Belleville Flea Market.
Enter the amazing universe of 'Twas the Night Before by Cirque du Soleil, an acrobatic retelling of the classic and beloved holiday tale. 'Twas the Night Before by Cirque du Soleil is a forever-lasting family experience for your kids and the kid in you. Discover the magic of the holidays at the Fabulous Fox Theater, November 29th through December 10th. Tickets on sale now at metrotix.com.
Refinitiv U.S. LLC, now part of LSEG, seeks a senior technical specialist. Directory services in St. Louis, Missouri. Install, develop, configure, and maintain software in connection with multiple Active Directory domains and trusts in an enterprise infrastructure. May telecommute from commuting distance to St. Louis, Missouri per company hybrid work policy. Salary $126,298 per year to $142,700 per year. To apply, please send resume to resumes at Refinitiv.com and refer to job ID UK756.
When you pay for tree work, you want to be sure you're getting the most for your hard-earned money. That's why you should always use the ISA certified arborist at River City Tree Service in Baldwin, Missouri. Hi, I'm Steve with River City Tree Service, and we've been the go-to tree service since 2008. Tree removal, tree trimming, storm damage, deadwood removal, stump grinding, and more. Give River City Tree Service a call for all your tree service needs at 314-270-8071. That's 314-270-8071. River City Tree Service.
Mizzou basketball on the Big 550 KTRS is powered by Gray Bar. This Sunday, Mizzou basketball tips off against Jackson State at 5 p.m. Pre-game begins at 4:30. Catch all the action right here on the Big 550 KTRS. Presented by Gray Bar. For all your electrical and datacom solutions. Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, welcome back for our last couple minutes here of hour number one of Straight Talk on Retirement. Our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or send us a text 84126, whether it's financial, and we know that Frank Ellis, our Medicare man, will be in the house in just a few moments. But let's go to the text line.
And our next texter writes, I've heard you talk a lot about coaching sessions, but you never say how long one typically lasts.
Well,
it depends.
If you're hanging out with me, it'll take an hour. I swear.
If you're hanging out with me,
it'll take 17. No, just kidding.
Well, yeah. Usually it's 60. Usually it's 60.
Yeah, 90 minutes sounds about
60
right.
to 90 minutes. Sometimes they go longer, but that's really because you'd like them to do so. We like to get to know the folks that we're working with.
Absolutely.
And those that want to. And truthfully, the conversations are never about money. They're about you. And what we do promise is, if you're interested in us creating that game plan for you, we're going to do it in front of you within the first 15 minutes.
With your numbers, and I think we can also assure you that you'll have more clarity after you leave our office than before you walked in. Even if you make the decision not to retire, you make the decision to not work with us in the future, we think that we'll still be able to provide you with some additional security and
you're going to leave with a smile and with your wallet intact, which is
no shakedowns,
which is really what's important, which is great. And I know we do have there was a text that came to me.
What?
Uh-oh.
How?
Hello.
Who?
I'm a Cheem Jeffer. You know, I love those folks. Congratulations on hearing Aaron and Rob are getting married.
Oh, good.
Isn't that nice?
It's really sweet.
Are you and your wife getting a little nervous? And I would tell you, it's only a few days away, so I'm not really nervous. And I know the kids aren't, because if they don't show up, they're out of work.
Oh, that's charming.
Well, it's good to know.
So everyone's clear.
What would you be nervous about?
What's that?
What do you have to be nervous about? Your wallet?
It isn't the bill, because your mom's going to take care of that. No, we're going to be just fine. Actually, we're going to have a lot of fun. It's family, and
it's Thanksgiving time, which is the best holiday of the year.
It really is.
And just so that those Team Jeffers out there that are feeling this are feeling it for me, thank you. And also
feeling for you.
Also let you know it's okay to start asking about the next generation. We'll give them a week or two, okay? Give them a little time off to practice.
Thanks. Before we head to our last break of the hour, your fee is 1%, but are there additional fees charged by your third parties? There are not additional fees charged by our third parties. There are investment charges for the investments that we help you select. However, as working in a fiduciary capacity, we're going to work to find the lowest cost fees for you. However,
and we will disclose those also to you.
Absolutely.
And the only other fee that you have is a
$35
IRA
fee,
which everybody charges, and that's
right.
by the custodian. That isn't by us, and that's actually to do all the record keeping, provide you with your monthly reports.
So we pay our third parties for any services that they provide to us. That is not incorporated into your charges.
Absolutely not. And do us a favor, don't touch that dial, because we're going to be back with some more Straight Talk on Retirement. Hour number 2, focusing on Medicaid, Medicare, as well as your questions at 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. Don't touch that dial. We will be right back after these messages.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to hour number 2 of Straight Talk on Retirement. As always, we are going to kick the 10 o'clock hour off with Frank Ellis, our Medicare coach. Welcome, Frank.
Good morning. Good morning, listeners. So we are about 3 weeks away from the end of open enrollment. So if you are someone out there that is currently on Medicare and you are looking at changing any prescriptions, changing any doctors, or if you moved, any circumstance whatsoever where your health has changed, now is the time to call with about 2.5, 3 weeks more left of open enrollment. And, of course, for folks out there that are getting ready to retire at the end of the year, we have plenty of those. Continue to give us a call, 314-863-0008.
That's right, and you want to call fast if you want to chat about open enrollment. So that's those of you that are already on Medicare. Really only have until December 7th is the last day of open enrollment. However, December 6th is going to be the last day that we're going to review options for individuals because we don't like to make split decisions. So there's a limited amount of space left on Frank's calendar unless you're willing to meet with him at like midnight. So get those emails in. You can go to our website, jblfinancial.com, click on the upper right-hand corner in the Contact Us section and say, I want to see Frank or help me with some Medicare, and we will get back to you on Monday morning or even potentially right after the show this afternoon just to make sure we can get you on the schedule. But if you are somebody that's retiring at the end of the year or you're turning 65 at the end of this year, the beginning of next year, open enrollment doesn't apply to you. So that means you have up until you need coverage, which means if you need a January 1st effective date, you have all of December to chat with Frank in order to get that rolling for January 1st, so on and so forth, if you happen to be turning 65 or retiring February, March of next year. So don't feel rushed if you're one of those people, but do feel rushed if you're on Medicare and you haven't reviewed your open enrollment options. So, Frank,
absolutely.
I think we're going to take a slightly different direction with our conversation this morning, but I think it's still going to be great information for anybody that is currently reviewing their Medicare options right now.
That's right. So, well, first and foremost, before I get started with my story today, I know this is that time of the year where a lot of folks are getting a lot of information sent to them through the mail, a lot of information sent to them through phone calls, emails. I know they're probably getting information online and hearing stuff from their friends about Medicare Advantage plans and also about traditional Medicare plans. Right now, the fact is that folks need these plans, and these plans, they absolutely work great. Not every style plan is going to be for everyone, and that's why you want to meet with someone like me to go over your total health plan to show you if a Medicare Advantage plan is going to make sense or if those traditional plans are going to make sense.
That's right. So, and you know what's funny, Frank, is I think you may have watched the same YouTube video yesterday that I did, and I actually brought that up briefly in the last hour. and I don't think Frank heard it. So
it has been going around. I've got
it's been making the rounds.
It has been making its rounds. We got plenty of clients that have, I've gotten sent some things. But the fact is that these plans, they work absolutely fantastic for some folks. And if it makes sense for you, I'll show you that. And if it doesn't, we'll show you that. So that's going to get us into today's segment. So Eric is currently on his employer's plan through his company. He's got a PPO plan, and he's getting ready to retire at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. So his plan is to come on to Medicare for January 1st of 2024. Just retire at the end of the year and transition straight into Medicare. And he gets what we call a special enrollment period in order to do so. So I know we've been spending a lot of time around, annual enrollment period, but I think that this topic was important because folks do still retire at the end of the year and get that special enrollment period. And we've still been seeing folks in the middle of open enrollment and helping those folks out, too.
That's right. In the last month, Frank has helped 6 people move on to Medicare before January 1st or for a January 1st effective date, not based on open enrollment, but really based on their individual special election needs or initial elections into Medicare. But I thought, Frank, this is going to be a great comparison between traditional Medicare and Medicare Advantage, which is something for all of you that are currently on a traditional Medicare supplement can listen into and kind of hear if maybe a chat with Frank or a chat with the individual who you already are working with is in order before December 7th.
Absolutely. So one thing that I like to do whenever I sit down with clients, especially new clients coming on to Medicare for the first time, is I like to see the insurance coverage that they currently have. What have they had through their employer? What are they used to? What are they comfortable with? Are there any big differences between the plan that they have now and what they're going to be coming on? So Eric and I sat down and we talked about his current plan. His current plan is a PPO plan through his employer, which most companies, you're probably going to have a PPO. You might have an HMO option, so a health maintenance organization, where you have to stay in network. But most companies, they give you that option for PPO, your preferred provider organizations, and you are able to use that plan in network and out of network. So if you're out of the state or something, you can still use that plan under your employers.
Or even if you manage to find a doctor that's not taking those very large employer networks.
That's right. So he's on a PPO plan. So he has a monthly premium. Most employers' plans have monthly premiums unless your employer pays for your monthly premium. Some companies will pay for their employers' monthly premiums, but he's paying out of his pocket $80 a paycheck for his insurance. Get paid twice a month like most normal people do. So that's $160 a month that he's paying for his PPO plan through his employer currently.
Okay.
When we talked about deductibles, he had a $3,000 deductible because most of those plans are going to have a deductible and a maximum out of pocket. Okay. And he has co-pays.
So when you're on your employer-based coverage, you have a premium to pay most likely, and you also have out-of-pocket expenses to cover in the form of co-pays, deductibles, co-insurance, and a maximum out-of-pocket. So you're living in both worlds.
That's right. So another thing that I like to ask clients whenever they come in and we're doing their review is, how has their current health been over the last few years? Mm-hmm. So most people, while they're working, they're, relatively healthy. Mm-hmm. They're going to work every day, working full time, so they're relatively healthy. Eric was in that same situation. He was pretty healthy. And over the last year, he actually got diagnosed with AFib, which is one of the reasons that he's finally deciding to retire.
Okay.
So we talked about, some of the things that he is going to foresee coming up now being diagnosed with AFib. Radiologies, maybe some surgeries, maybe some sort of treatments that he's going to have to do, medications. Yeah. So we talked about the full package and what was going to make most sense for him coming on to Medicare when he starts in January. So when I broke it down to Eric, we looked at the two options of Medicare, traditional Medicare versus the Medicare Advantage side. So when we looked at traditional Medicare, we know that with traditional, these style plans are more a la carte style.
I like that. You got to piece it all together.
You have to piece it all together. Nothing is included. You're going to be purchasing everything you need from the insurance company. So we're talking health plan, we're talking prescription drug plan, we're talking dental, we're talking vision if you need that, and any other sort of supplement.
Sure.
So A and B under a traditional Medicare plan is covering, if he decided to go with traditional, would cover 80% of his health coverage.
Exactly. That comes directly from the government. You have, what's your monthly premium on Part B?
Part B is actually going up next year to $174.70.
And that's true if you're on traditional Medicare or on a Medicare Advantage plan. So we're not going to factor that $174 a month into our numbers because that's standard for everyone. But we are going to talk about the other numbers.
That's right. That Part B is going to be a complete wash because everyone pays that no matter what when you get on Medicare. There are special circumstances where, maybe it could be reduced or maybe you don't pay it, but we're talking very rare, and you have to qualify income qualification limits for those. So for the most part, most folks that come on that Part B are paying $174.70 next year, $164.90 currently and through the end of this year. So that's going to be a wash. Now, with A and B, you have to buy a supplement because A and B is covering 80%, so you have to buy the additional 20% from the insurance company.
And how much is that going to cost Eric?
So Eric would pay $170 a month for a Plan G, okay? And the Plan G covers everything except for the Part B deductible of Medicare. And that Part B deductible next year for Eric would be $240.
What is it this year?
This year, it is $226.
Got ya. So it's going up a little bit. It's not $240 this year at the minimum. We know it's around $226 this year. So next year, it's going to go up a little bit for you.
Mm-hmm. So since Eric would have a traditional Medicare plan, okay, and we just said basically his Part B was going to be a wash, $174, but his Plan G is going to be $170 plus his $240 deductible that he has. Mm-hmm. That's going to total his out-of-pocket expense for his health care for the year, $2,280.
And we didn't even add a premium for the prescription drug plan in yet.
That's right. That's right. So one thing with Eric was when we were looking at his prescription drugs, he was on Tier 1 medications, and WellCare actually has a free Part D plan for next year.
I saw an email about that from a client. He was like, what the heck is going on?
That's right. They thought it was fake. That's right. They thought it was fake. But WellCare was able to lower their premium to $0 cost. So we're just talking his Plan G. Monthly premium total expense for the year $2,280.
That's very cool. So he still has to add the prescription drug plan, but just based on his prescriptions, there's going to be no additional cost to him. That is not always the case for people. There may be another premium associated if you're jumping onto traditional Medicare.
That is correct, absolutely. Cool. And most times those premiums are going to be somewhere towards anywhere between $10 to $25 or so,
sure.
Given what prescriptions you're on.
Got you. So we're talking $228 out of his pocket if he has an average year, a great year, or a not-so-great year.
That's right. So no matter what, if he uses his plan 100 times, if he uses his plan 0 times, his total out-of-pocket under his traditional plan, $2,280.
Okay.
Now, when we got into a deeper discussion of his health, because this is one of the things that I like to do to determine if it's going to make sense for someone to be on a Medicare Advantage plan, mm-hmm. we talked about specific health items that he might have done for next year because of the AFib.
Got you.
So one thing that we looked at, were co-pays, because the Advantage plans, we know that the way those work is that you're not paying the insurance company every single month for your plan. You're just making co-pays when you have to use the plan. So mm-hmm. it's a pay as you go, and you're going to pay based on how healthy you are or how unhealthy you are.
Right. So how often you're utilizing services is going to really determine what your annual costs are. However, you do have a maximum out of pocket and some other benefits that are going to be associated to help you bring those costs down. But I love this. Let's go through if Eric has the exact year he's projecting next year, and he, uses some specific services that you guys discussed during your appointment.
Very good. So, for Eric, we know that he's just be making co-pays at the doctor's office instead of paying the insurance company just directly.
Gotcha.
So one thing that he certainly is going to have is some sort of radiology service, probably an electrocardiogram. So we're talking an EKG at a total cost of $75 copay.
Got ya.
If he had to have some sort of outpatient procedure, so we're talking some sort of surgery.
Where you're not spending the night in the hospital.
That is correct. That is correct. Where you're in and out the same day, that can be up to $250.
So that's the max.
That would be the max.
Okay.
That would be the max. And for his case, it's not as severe. The AFib is not as severe. So depending on what they have to do in the surgery, it could be up to $250. That would be the max, absolutely.
Okay.
But we're just going to use that as the max. So we are going to say it is $250.
Let's underpromise and overdeliver.
That's right. His specialist visits, he said he goes to about 5. He's anticipating about 5 for next year. So that's going to be $20 on each session.
Okay, each visit is a $20 copay. So with his EKG and his outpatient procedure, how much does that bring his total to?
He would be looking at for the EKG $75, the outpatient $250 for that surgery. His specialist visits $5 or $20 5 times a year, $425 total out of his pocket for the year under a Medicare Advantage plan.
And that's under just any normal Medicare Advantage plan. If his physicians and his prescriptions fit into that Aetna Gold Advantage plan?
Oh, yeah. Then he could use that $200 per quarter. And
maybe he paid nothing.
Maybe he paid zero. That's right.
Because
depending how he spreads it out.
I was going to say it does matter how it's spread out because the $200 a quarter is not transferable. So you lose the $200 if you haven't used it in a quarter, but you get another $200 for the next quarter. So if his EKG really is $250. And he uses his copay card under the Aetna Gold Advantage plan, he'll pay $50 for
That's
that.
Right.
Now, if in the same quarter he does other things, he'll pay out of pocket for those. But if he manages to have the EKG in one quarter, that would be free because it's under the $200 copay amount.
That's right.
If he had the if he had the outpatient procedure in the next quarter, he'd pay maybe $50.
That's right.
And then if he didn't see his specialists till the end of the year, he would be paying almost nothing.
He would be paying almost nothing if he could spread that out the right way. Absolutely. And that's something that we talked about is, there are plans, a plan out there right now that is helping you pay your copays, and they're going to give you money for $800 a year total in your copays. So if you can spread that out and use $800 for the year, so $200 per quarter, your maximum out of pocket is going to decrease by $800 that year.
That's incredible.
That is very awesome.
And we haven't even gotten to what about all the other things that you were mentioning that are essentially a la carte with traditional Medicare, meaning dental and vision. Now, with the traditional policy, you have to buy those plans individually. So you bought your Plan G, which is the medical side. You have your prescription drug side. You may or may not be paying a premium for that, depending upon your plan selection. And then for dental, you have to pay a premium. For vision, you have to pay a premium. But what about Medicare Advantage?
So one thing that was really important to Eric was dental. Eric gets dental work done religiously. I mean, he said to me that he goes twice a year for his cleanings, his x-rays, anything else that is needed, he gets it done. So we're talking, someone that's very serious about their teeth. I mean, he's got AFib, so that makes all the sense in the world. He's going to need some good dental to me.
Sure.
So under a traditional Medicare plan, Eric would have to buy his dental plan, something like a Delta Dental or an Anthem or a Physicians Mutual. You can shop around for these plans all day. But the fact is that when Eric comes off of his employer's coverage, he's no longer going to get that dental rate that he's currently getting. Because right now he's paying $15 for a plan through his employer.
Because his employer is still helping pay for it.
That's right, exactly. So when you come on to Medicare and you buy a plan, your premium is going to increase 3 times.
So he's going to pay about $40 a month.
He's going to pay about $40 a month for a plan, that has about $1,200 worth of dental coverage in it. And still with a split somewhere, some splits are going to be 70% to 30%. Insurance company is paying 70%. The client is paying 30%. Some's going to be 80-20. So he's still going to have a lot of incurred cost on a dental plan that he's paying $40 a month for.
Okay.
So that's $480 a year that he's paying the insurance company, a dental insurance company, for his dental on a traditional plan. On a Medicare Advantage plan, we know that the dental plans are included already in your plan at no additional cost.
So no charge, get some dental included. Now everyone wants to know, well, how much dental and what does it cover?
That's right. That's right. So under the Medicare Advantage plans, you are given an allowance inside of your plan. You are not paying for this plan, and you are not paying extra for your dental allowance inside of the plan. Typically, these companies will give you about $1,000 or so. Dental, I've seen plans all the way up to $5,000. The Aetna plan that I really like for next year for folks, if it makes sense for them to be on it, has a $3,250 dental package that he can use for anything except for cosmetics.
Okay, so that means his cleanings and his x-rays are all included for him in terms of what he can be reimbursed for if he's using a plan that's a reimbursement-based policy, or covered under the plan if it's not a reimbursement. Now, do all of the Medicare Advantage plans have dental networks?
So not all of them will have a network. Aetna does not have a dental network, so you can use any licensed dentist in the country. I think United, they have a network. Humana, they have a network. But some of these dental networks, you'll want to check with someone like me, because some of these dental networks are very, very small. It's not like a health insurance plan where these dental networks are huge and wide. They're very small, so you'll want to call someone like me.
Right. The Medicare doesn't require that the Medicare Advantage plans have broad dental networks, because it's really an extra service that those Medicare Advantage plans are providing to you. And just like Frank mentioned, it's really to keep you healthier so you spend less money on the plan. Yep. Someone with heart issues, you want to make sure that your teeth are in good order, so they add that in for you. You know, the insurance companies aren't benevolent, but you can use them to your advantage. But with the dental networks, they don't have a requirement of being broad like the physician networks, which Medicare does require that there is a broad network available under any Medicare Advantage plan. Doesn't mean your physician's covered under every plan, but it does mean that they are required to have a large network on the medical side.
That's right, and these networks are so large now that folks are not having any issues if they need new doctors, finding those new doctors. And even I've seen clients talk to their doctors and get their doctors in the network so that they can go to them. So doctors are liking these plans. But dental. So let me break this down, okay? So he would be paying $480 out of his pocket.
That's in premium for the dental. That's in
premium for the dental on a traditional plan versus $0 on the Medicare Advantage plan. So when we looked at his total package, okay, so his health plan and his dental plan only, we haven't even, at this point in the meeting, we haven't even gotten to, the gym membership fees. We haven't gotten into much of the vision, much of the over-the-counter. We just looked at the two most important things for Eric, and we just broke it down in that segment, and then we broke everything else down.
Got you.
So when we're breaking down the two most important things for him, his health and his dental package, okay, we know for his health under traditional Medicare, we said that was $2,280 that he'd be paying for the year in monthly premiums versus his Medicare Advantage plan on a free plan making co-pays. He'd be paying $425, potentially $0, but let's just say $425 for the year in co-pays for the EKG, his surgery, and his doctor's visits.
Right.
Okay. So he would save $1,855 by going on the Medicare Advantage plan for that year.
And that was just the medical stuff. We didn't get to the dental.
That's right. That is just strictly medical. So if we add the dental into that, okay, we said he's paying $40 a month. That's $480 a year. Okay, that's $2,000. So we're gonna
now let's add it back.
We're gonna add the dental back in, the $480 that he's gonna save under the Medicare Advantage plan. He's looking at $2,335 in savings.
And that number is sneakingly familiar to me because it's very close to the Aetna Gold maximum out of pocket of $2,400 for the year. So that means even in the worst case scenario, if Eric had the worst year of his life. It didn't go the way he planned. It wasn't just the EKG-5 visits and a little procedure. It was hospital visits, lots of tests, lots of exams, lots of x-rays, whatever the case may be. He'd only pay $2,400 for the year. He'd still get his dental.
That's right. That's right.
He'd still get his dental.
He'd still get the dental.
Plus all the other stuff that we've talked about on the show at length in the past. We've been primarily talking about this Medicare, the Aetna Gold Advantage plan, just because the benefits, I think not only are they an excellent cross-section of the benefits that are potentially available to you, but they just happen to be excellent benefits this year. Other Medicare Advantage plans have a ranging maximum amount of pocket. What can you think of the lowest one for the year? Is it the Aetna one, or is it? I think Essence has a lower one, like $1,800.
Essence, I believe, has one $1,900, $1,800.
Got ya.
The Aetna's $2,400. Essence also has another one that's $2,300 that I've seen.
And then you can
I
go
think
all the way
that's
up
their
to like
most popular
5,000.
HMO. Yeah.
So there's a range, but that range is very close to what you would be paying even as an individual joining Medicare for the first time, because Eric's joining at about 68 years old,
That's right.
which is very close to that initial enrollment time, about 3 years out. So that means if you're someone that's been on Medicare for several years, you're in your 70s potentially, most likely your $170 premium is significantly more than that, which means even in the worst year of your life, you are paying more to the insurance company than you would in maximum out of pocket.
That's right.
Well,
That's
then.
why I say these plans, sit down, with someone like myself. We can go over, and I do this all the time with clients. We go over exactly what the last 5 years or so of your health has looked like. And we just add the numbers up. We add how many times you've been to the doctor, how many times you've gotten testing, how many times you've been in surgery, inpatient or outpatient. And we do the math, and more times than none, these Medicare Advantage plans are saving folks a ton of money, and especially when we add the full package.
Right,
so
that's fabulous.
So the vision, the hearing, the gym membership, the over-the-counter benefit, the new copay card, the $1,200 fitness allowance. When we add all that in, massive savings.
That's incredible. So we have several text questions that have come in, but I think let's take a quick break. And when we get back, not only are we going to answer the text questions that have already come in, but Frank's going to hang out to answer all the text questions that I know you're thinking of right now. So please send them in, 84126 on the text line. Or if you want to chat on the air, give us a call, 314-931-5877. We'll be right back after these messages.
Oh, my gosh. How long have we known each other now?
Doesn't seem like long enough.
No, but like a year, and we immediately just kind of...
Instant bond.
Yes.
Instant bond.
And it's so much fun because every Wednesday you come into the studio and we talk about, what you're really good at, picking pizza joints.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to say real estate, but you're right. The pizza thing is really top-notch for me.
You're pretty good at that real estate thing, too. And now that I can say I've experienced it firsthand because you helped my mom and dad.
Sure did.
Buy a lake house.
Yep.
They might love you more than they love me at this point.
I don't think that's possible. No one could love me more. You know that.
Well, that's probably true. But this is what everybody else can experience, too, when they work with your team at Lauren Risley Realty. Well, we love you. We love everything that Lauren Risley Realty does, and I think you guys will, too. You can learn more. Call Lauren Risley Realty at 314-775-0684. You can also email hello@laurenrisleyrealty.com.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, welcome back to Straight Talk on Retirement. We're in the second half of the second hour, and thank you all for listening, heeding my advice, calling us, sending us some additional text during the break. We have Greg on the line that has a question. Welcome, Greg.
Hello there. Hi, Aaron. How are you today?
Just great. Thanks for calling in.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to reiterate what you were saying about coming in to you and talking to Frank. I was there yesterday, and I live in a little town called Hoyleton, about 62 miles east of you folks, so it's definitely worth the drive to come over.
My goodness, did you have to pack snacks for that? That sounds like it's a journey, 60 miles.
Well, it was a good trip. We like coming to St. Louis, but I had just traditional Medicare, and with me being out in a rural area, Frank was able to hook me up with Medicare Advantage, and it worked out good. So I just wanted to reiterate that what you're saying, that, yeah, people need to talk to him, and just want to pass that on. So,
well, thank you so
Greg.
much, Greg.
Absolutely.
Your check is in the mail. Thank you for that. We totally appreciate it.
I was going to ask you about that. Aaron, I'll be coming in to see you December 5th. So
I heard. I saw you on the schedule. Thanks for coming back. We can't wait to see you. Thank you, Greg,
That's
and
awesome.
have a happy Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
Yes, man. You too, folks. Take care.
All right.
Man, helping people from all corners of the state.
That's
I
right.
Love it.
That's right. Yeah. Greg's awesome. Appreciate that, Greg. Thank you.
So, moving on to our texts. If you have to pay the income-related Medicare adjustment, and for those of you that get that bill in the mail, IRMMA is what you see. Could you pay less if you had a Medicare Advantage plan that has no premium?
So regardless of if a plan has no premium or not, this is standard with Medicare. So you are going to pay the same amount on a traditional plan as you would under a Medicare Advantage plan. The only difference is that the Medicare Advantage plans are free, so they're $0 cost. And if you have an IRMA, you'll pay the IRMA versus your Medicare supplement. You're paying for that and your drug plan potentially, and then you're going to have an IRMA on top of those payments.
So the answer is yes, you could be paying less, but it's not because they've removed the Medicare-related income adjustment.
That's right.
So great idea. Could work, but it's not going to work exactly.
So one other thing I do want to add to that is the thresholds have changed for next year. You will have an IRMA, okay, and again, they always do a 2-year look back on this. So you will have an IRMA if you are married, filing jointly, over $206,000 for the year next year, and if you file single, over $103,000.
So, and you can look that up on Medicare.gov if you need to reference what your income was. And like Frank mentioned, for next year, 2024, you're looking at 2022's income. Mm-hmm. And so that means in 2026, you're going to look at 2024's income. And if the number is, if your income decreases below the threshold, then you will no longer have the income-related Medicare adjustment if your income no longer requires it. So it's not a lifetime thing. The penalties for enrolling late, however, are lifetime penalties.
That's right.
All right. Are you able to use the $200 card per quarter offered by Aetna for your prescription costs?
So not on prescription cost and also not on any dental cost. But you can use that for anything at the doctor or hospital, and your vision test and your hearing test.
Got you. So if you have an extra visit to the audiologist and you have a copay, you can use your copay card for that.
That is correct. Just none of the D's.
Got you.
So drugs and...
Oh, that's a great one. I'm stealing that from you. None of the D's.
There you go.
Oh, my God. Okay, I am on a Medicare Advantage plan this year. I take a Tier 4 medication. Am I still better with Advantage versus a traditional plan?
So when it comes to these Medicare Advantage plans, I tend to find that they actually cover prescription drugs a little bit better than standalone prescription drug plans, because most times, especially on a Tier 4 medication, you're going to have a monthly premium associated with that, and your plan's formulary is probably going to be in the form of a percentage rather than an actual set amount.
And we talked about that last week. And I know that KTRS has posted our last week's show on the air Frank let me know about a nice lady who had that exact issue. You know, I'm paying a percentage or a co-insurance for my prescription, and Frank was able to lower her costs by selecting a plan that offered a co-pay for her specific prescription until she reaches the donut hole, of course, if that's something that happens to you as well. So you absolutely want somebody that can dig into the minutia for you to figure out what's the best way to pay for things. Even if if you're on traditional Medicare and you don't want to switch, you still may be able to save quite a bit of money by looking at how the benefits are given to you versus just what the premium is.
That's right.
Do Medicare Advantage plans have input into the type of medical care a person gets? Can they deny a procedure or tell a doctor to perform a different procedure?
So that's very rare. I think what that's kind of referring to is like the prior authorization that Medicare Advantage plans have for some things, not for all things. So it's very rare where a doctor where the insurance company is going to deny some sort of surgery that the doctor is recommending or some sort of procedure that they're recommending.
And in the event that did happen, clients have recourse. They can file an appeal directly with their insurance provider.
That's right.
And they could also file a second appeal with Medicare, right?
That is correct. And more times than none, when it gets to that point, insurance company approves. But it is rare. It does happen, but it's very rare.
Got you. And it's important that if you're working with someone that has helped you secure a Medicare Advantage plan or even a supplemental plan, that if you run into an issue like this, you should absolutely reach out to them. Frank provides this service to all of our clients, that if you get a denial, maybe Frank can help figure out why you were denied. We actually had a whole show about this as well, and in one instance, it was the provider who said that the individual did not need the care that was being recommended, so that's why he was denied. The insurance company is not going to provide something that the physician is not recommending. So sometimes, again, digging down into the minutia of what is going on with your health care is going to be very beneficial, and having someone that can be an advocate for you and also knows when they're on the customer service line if the answer's not right.
Exactly. And most times it's not a denial per se anyway. Most times it's the insurance company maybe wants you to try something different before having the surgery or something.
Like you need some physical therapy first, something along those lines.
2 weeks of physical therapy, then have your surgery after you reevaluate. So it's not a hard denial like, no, this person can never have this surgery ever a day in their life. They're not doing that. They're saying maybe you can try, like you said, physical therapy first, see if that helps. If not, then boom, we're into the surgery.
Right, and the doctors have input on that as well. So if the insurance company says, let's do physical therapy, and the doctor says absolutely not because of X, Y, and Z, then you're probably going to end up with the approval opposed to having to do the additional things that the insurance company originally suggested. So I like to say there's no difference in care. There's no difference in quality or access to care between Medicare Advantage and traditional Medicare with a supplement. It's just how you pay for it.
That's all.
And how much you pay for it. I think Eric was an excellent example of someone that is going to need a little bit of care that really could potentially save money by looking at a Medicare Advantage plan. All right, our last question of the hour. I am not married and I'm on Humira. My doctor's office says if I make $118,000 or less, the doctor's office says I can get a discount from Abreve through my WellCare Part D. I make more than that. I'm getting married this year. Once married, does that $118,000 max go up? I think this is a very specialized question that you're going to want to double check with the doctor's office and also with your WellCare to see if there's another income threshold, because as far as I'm concerned, and Frank made a face too, which is that on Medicare, we don't usually see income discounts. In fact, the discounts that people were getting before they went on to Medicare usually go away because Medicare, even though you're using private insurance in addition to Medicare, the drug companies see it as public coverage at this point, so they don't offer discounts to individuals that are using a public option, which is Medicare.
Yeah. Is this texter 65? and on Medicare?
Well, it says WellCare Part D, so I'd
WellCare
assume
Part
they
D,
probably...
okay.
Right, because I think we're both a little confused. So I would first double-check with the doctor's office, and then you also want the final check to be with WellCare to just assure you that you're not going to see a significant increase in your expenses.
So I had a client come to the office probably last month during open enrollment, and they were on Ozempic. And he didn't have his Ozempic card on him because he would mention to me something about he had a Savers card for his Ozempic, and I was trying to figure out what it was. I was asking him, is this some sort of RX Saver program like GoodRx, or is this some sort of third party scam or something like that? Because
right,
I need to see the card. I want to see the card. I want to see what it says to know what you have. And the client actually sent me a photo of it, and it was a legitimate Ozempic Saver card from Ozempic. So this company, Abreve, yeah, this company Abreve, they may do something like that. I have not heard of that company before. I'd have to do my due diligence to give you a straight answer on if this is legitimate or not. But that's something that I have not heard of being income-based related
so
on that.
If you want to send Franklin an email, franklin@jblfinancial.com, give him a little bit of information about which WellCare plan you're on, your prescription again. I'm sure he'll take a little bit of time because that would be some additional information. I'm sure you're not our only client that's accessing Humira. So
that's right.
Final question, Frank. Does the Aetna Gold Advantage plan require referrals?
So, no, they've done away with that. This is year number 3 that they no longer require referrals. And all the insurance companies pretty much followed suit after Aetna did it for a year and kind of experimented with it. So I don't foresee anything like that coming back. But as of 2024, no referrals required.
No referrals from Aetna. No referrals from United. No referrals from Anthem. Is that correct?
From Essence anymore.
Whoa. Essence, which is a traditionally very strict HMO-style plan, or company that offered HMO-style plans, now has also lifted their referral restrictions. So you do have to stay in network with the HMOs, right?
That's correct.
But when you're in network, you don't need to go to your primary or call your primary care doctor in order to go see those specialists. You can be free.
That's right. That's right.
Go enjoy the plan. All right. Thank you so much, Frank, for joining us this morning. Anyone that would like to sneak in to see Frank before the end of open enrollment, or if you're retiring and you've got a little bit more time, please give our office a call, 314-863-0008, or send Frank an email, franklin@jblfinancial.com, or you can go to our website, jblfinancial.com, click in the upper right-hand corner, contact us, send us a brief email, let us know who you want to see, and we'll get you on the calendar.
Very good, and thank you, folks, and I'll plan on seeing you all before December 7th.
Fantastic, and we will see all of you after our second break of the hour, so don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
What if I told you that with one click to Wholesale Siding Depot, that's WSDepot.com, you can view the best selection of windows, doors, siding, and decking products that are durable, up-to-date, and energy-saving that will increase your home's value and comfort, all at wholesale pricing to save your hard-earned money. My grandson Elijah says,
"Are you kidding me?"
My name is Julius Krasanik, celebrating 51 years in this industry. Our local and family business is Wholesale Siding Depot. Please visit our website at WSDepot.com. That's WSDepot.com. For name brand windows from Anderson and Viwinco, CertainTeed composite and vinyl siding, Pro-Via and Masonite doors, decking from AZAC, Envision, Fortress, and Trex. We also offer a free contractor referral service to take care of your installation needs. Keep it local and professional. Please visit WSDepot.com. That's WSDepot.com.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at aaron@jblfinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, it's 10:48 here on the Big 550 KTRS. Talks Radio St. Louis. Last 12 minutes of Straight Talk on Retirement. You know, it was interesting. I love these conversations that you have with Frank Honey because, you know, I keep thinking more and more as the plans continue to enrich these Medicare Advantage plans. And now we're talking about
just incredible.
Up to really with the goal, you know, the plan you were discussing, up to $2,000 of actual cash benefits for reimbursements for expenses. Oh my God!
Oh, Dad, that is like lowballing it. You got $800 a year in copay cards.
Right.
You have $3,250 in dental.
I didn't.
You have like $4,000 a year in hearing aid benefit. You have $1,200 a year in the fitness benefit. You have silver sneakers included in that plan. You have vision coverage, eyeglasses up to $400. I mean, the list really truly does go on.
Well, what I was getting to was, you know, we haven't taken the time yet to work backwards with our clients to say, okay, how much money are you actually saving?
I think that's what Frank's doing during every single visit.
Well,
Oh, you mean going back in history and saying, how much have you saved over the years since you joined Medicare Advantage?
Well, that's right, because obviously if they're doing the things they would normally be doing, and they're getting reimbursed for things that they normally would be paying for and certainly would be budgeting for, as we would be in our with our planning process, they don't need so much money.
Well, you know,
and maybe they're. No, really, I'd be interested in knowing Is this going towards entertainment? Are you filling up your vault?
Because the savings can be significant, and I know that, Dad, when I joined you about 11 years ago, that was my first project, was to meet with all of our current financial clients and talk to them about Medicare, and many of them.
90% of them moved over.
Right. We're using supplements and moved over to Medicare Advantage plans. So that's 10 years of savings, almost 11 at this point. And just to give everyone an idea, when I joined you, Dad, 11 years ago, Aetna was actually Coventry, because Aetna purchased Coventry about 7 or 8 years ago. The maximum out of pocket on the Coventry, and they actually called it the Gold Advantage plan back then as well, was $2,300. That's 11 years ago. Now, it has gone up and back down over time, but we're back to $2,400 in maximum out of pocket with the Aetna policy. Now, 11 years ago, the dental benefit was $250. You had a teeny tiny dental network through Coventry that you had to use to get your $250 per year. They've removed the dental network, so you can see any physician, any dentist you'd like, and the benefit's $3,250 for the year.
And now started out at $250.
And it started out.
That's over a 10-time increase.
Talk about inflation that works for you. Like, oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Well, plus they added vision. They also didn't have any hearing benefits.
They didn't have hearing benefits. I mean, they had the silver sneakers, but they didn't have this fitness benefit included. And like I've mentioned quite a few times in the past, Medicare Advantage plans have been around since the Reagan administration, so that's a solid 40-plus years at this point. They didn't start to gain popularity until about 15 years ago, but now, and Frank made a great point, which is now you as a Medicare enrollee can drive your physician, meaning, you know, there are patients of physicians that are going into their doctor's office and saying, why aren't you on these plans? Join them. And a lot of the physicians are following their patients because they have to. If a patient wants a specific health insurance plan, they may decide to change doctors. Is it worth, in Eric's case, is it worth $2,000 a year or $2,800 a year almost just to see one physician so you don't have to use a Medicare Advantage network? And kind of like Frank mentioned, it's hard to find physicians that aren't accepting these plans because they are following their patients towards the plans that they like to use.
That's kind of what I took out of it, using the Eric example. I mean, Eric was going to pay $2,300 for a supplement, but meanwhile, the plan that Frank ultimately decided on had a max out-of-pocket of $2,400, and every year of your life isn't going to be the worst medical year you've ever had. So, right. I mean,
God
you may
willing.
you may get one of those years, but I mean, with the supplement plan, you were paying up front as if it was going to be your worst year every single year. It's your worst year. Like, it just, I know we sound like shills for Medicare Advantage.
Certainly not.
Right, but when you start to add up these savings, especially when you start to put a time parameter on it, like over 5 years, over 10 years, when you start scaling that up, it's quite sizable. And like Jeff was saying, like, well, what are they using that money for?
What you using that? Hopefully they're spending it on the grandkids.
I get some Oreos occasionally.
Occasionally,
clients,
some clients, they bring it every time they come to see you. Or blueberries.
Don't be jealous.
I am. There's apparently Team Aaron out there, but we're a lot more low-key. I'm lower maintenance than Team Jeff. Can you only switch Advantage plans during this period or any time throughout the year? Unfortunately. Well, let's rephrase that. So, annual enrollment period, October 15th through December 7th. If you're on a supplemental policy, you have the opportunity to switch to Medicare Advantage. If you're on a Medicare Advantage plan, you have the opportunity to switch to another Medicare Advantage plan. If you're on a prescription drug plan, you have the opportunity to switch your prescription drug plan. After December 7th, you're locked in. Now, on January 1st, when all the new plans begin for everyone, prescription, Medicare Advantage, there is another enrollment period. It's called the open enrollment period. I know you think that's what we're in right now, but we're not. We're in the annual enrollment period. Open enrollment begins January 1st, runs through March 31st. If you are on a Medicare Advantage plan, and only if you are on a Medicare Advantage plan, Medicare is going to give you a second opportunity to make a switch to another Medicare Advantage plan if you missed annual enrollment. There are a few caveats to this. Number one, if you have spent any money on the Medicare Advantage plan from January 1st to when you switch is going to be effective the 1st of the next month. So let's say you had a really good time on New Year's Eve and you land yourself in the hospital for January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and you spent $500-$600 already. If you say, I don't like this Medicare Advantage plan, I want to switch to another one, you can switch for a February 1st effective date, but the money that you spent from your too good of a time does not transfer over. Just to be clear, so you know that you've kind of paid a $5,600 or whatever you've paid already, that's not going to move over with you to your new Medicare Advantage plan, so you're starting clean. That might not be an issue for you, but it's important to consider when you're making those changes. The latest effective date for the open enrollment period is April 1st, which means your application, if you've decided to make a change because you didn't have time during your annual election period, or maybe you utilized the Medicare Advantage plan and it wasn't what you thought and you want to pick a different one, you have to have that application in by March 31st to get your April 1st effective date.
Very good. How are we doing on time?
We got a few minutes left, maybe 3 or 4. Looks like we got a few text questions.
That's great. And again, our phone lines are open, 314-931-5877. And fill up that text line, if you would, 84126. We've got about 3 minutes left.
Let's do
our
it.
Next texter writes, how is inheriting a Roth IRA different from inheriting a traditional IRA? Well, they're remarkably similar, with one well, they both have to be emptied within 10 years. But with the Roth IRA, you don't have to pay taxes. You still have to empty it within 10 years. You can do it all at the very beginning or all at the end, or periodically take it out, but you won't have to pay taxes on that. But with a traditional IRA, you will have to pay taxes. And if the person you're inheriting the IRA from is on an RMD schedule, required minimum distribution schedule, in addition to inheriting the IRA, guess what? You inherited their RMD schedule as well. So if they were taking out, say, $12,000 a year, you're taking out $12,000 a year as a floor with the caveat that you have to have it completely drained in 10 years. As Jeff likes to say, it's one of the biggest changes to the tax code that they've made over the last 25 years.
That's a great point.
Well done.
All right. What else? Who else is on the list? We got another minute and 20 seconds.
This is a funny one. What happens if I submit my tax return a month late?
Nothing good. They come for you in the orange jumpsuits. No, I'm kidding.
No, I mean, what happens is that if you owe taxes, you're going to also owe interest.
A penalty.
A penalty for interest. If you didn't owe taxes, then what happens is literally nothing.
And if you didn't owe taxes, or if you were going to get a refund, you just continued to give the government an interest-free loan.
Yes,
for another month.
Yeah, it's always good to try to file these things, and if nothing else, at least an extension.
But if you owe money and you file the extension, you still have to pay before April 15th. You just get to wait to file. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So follow the rules. They may not be fun, but they're easy to understand.
But you know what else is easy to do? Give us a call if you're interested in a coaching session, or if you want to talk to Frank, 314-863-0008, or you can send us an email, Aaron@jblfinancial.com, Robert@jblfinancial.com, or Jeff@jblfinancial.com. Happy Thanksgiving, and see you next week.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.